Hello, listeners, and welcome to Dragon Talk. I'm your host, Ryan Record. As the calendar flips to May, we recognize it as a crucial time to shine a light on our emotional and psychological well-being for Mental Health Awareness Month. Some of you listening may be in the throes of finals week, just finishing up your semester, or maybe life has been challenging for whatever reason in general. The culmination of your hard work, accompanied by late nights, looming deadlines, and a healthy dose of stress, can take a toll on our mental health. During periods where both internal and external pressure can feel immense, taking care of ourselves becomes paramount. Today, we have a very special guest joining us who understands the unique pressures students face, especially during times like these. We here at Dragon Talk are honored to welcome Natalie Williams, the director of the Mental Health Counseling Center, and Outstanding Employee Award recipient right here at Howard Community College. Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me on the podcast today, and congrats on your recent award.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Student mental health is such a crucial topic year-round, but perhaps even more so during high-stress periods like the end of a semester. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your role as the Director of Mental Health Counseling here at HCC, and what does your day-to-day typically look like, particularly during intense times like the end of a semester?
Absolutely. So my role here at the college is a mix between clinical oversight, administrative leadership, staff support, and student engagement. My day-to-day, it kind of fluctuates a bit during these high-stress times, like you said. And so during those times, we see increased walk-in appointments, definitely crisis management, staff support, making sure the scheduling is going correctly, and also making sure that the campus is aware of the supports that are available here on campus. And then the other part of my role is I'm a part of the assist team, so we deal with those crisis and risk assessments and things like that. So it's a very unique, I think, role because it can wax and wane.
Yeah. You're wearing many shoes, many hats, any time of day.
Absolutely.
And you're ready to jump on it the snap of a finger.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's selfless, right? So I take myself out of it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want to make sure that the students on the right trajectory, like I like to say, we're laying those healing stones along their path. And in order for us to do that, we need to meet them where they are. As we say, meet them where they dream, right?
And that sounds like incredibly important work. What are some of the most common mental health challenges that you're seeing among students at the moment? And have you noticed any shifts or trends in recent years? So
definitely. Anxiety being the top, right? And so we're dealing with test anxiety, just normal everyday anxieties. Mm-hmm. About 58% of the students that we see are reporting high anxiety. And most of that stems from the academic and family pressures, right? So some of it's social isolation and the uncertainty about their future. We've also seen students that deal with depression, which is another key mental health challenge, and then suicidal ideations, so suicidal thoughts. And that has been on I would say, an increase the most just recently.
Wow.
I think part of that is just because, especially toward the end of the month, end of the semester, students are, finding some things out that they might not have seen. And so that all or nothing thinking comes into play. So what I would say, though, as an emerging trend, since the pandemic, we have seen an increase in more people actually reaching out for mental health support.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's not as taboo as it used to be.
Okay.
And I think because, when you were in the house all alone or with people you really didn't want to be with, you had to figure out a way to do something, and recognizing that you needed help was one of them. And so that's, I would say, an uptick in what we've been seeing, emerging trend.
Okay. And you offer like face-to-face counseling, of course, but do you offer an online format as well?
So we don't here. We do try to keep it in person, and part of that is because of COVID,
sure.
Right? Most people were home alone or with their family, and they're craving that in-person interaction. And so, we'll do it in one case-by-case basis, but we do have our student assistance program that's online.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And that's certainly an insightful overview. We often hear about the importance of self-care, especially during stressful times like finals. However, that term can sometimes feel a bit cliche. In practice, What does meaningful self-care look like for students?
So you are right. That is a very cliche self-care, and people tend to misuse it. So thanks for this question. Meaningful self-care is about consistently engaging in activities that support your emotional, physical, mental, social, and academic well-being. So, for example, emotional self-care can consist of being aware of your emotions. Journaling is a good way to do that, but then also talking to a counselor, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other way to do that is setting healthy boundaries. That's self-care. And even though sometimes people don't think of that as a boundary, it is, right? It's a way for us to be able to just maintain that even playing field, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then also having self-compassion.
Yeah.
Right. And I think another thing that I would say in terms of self-care, time management and setting realistic goals. But then I think those are nice, right?
Sure.
The real nitty-gritty is doing something that you enjoy.
Amen.
Like my self-care every day of the week is crafting.
Okay.
I love to craft. And so I say if you want to figure out something that's going to be good and something that you can sustain, is do something that you enjoy.
Yeah, healthy outlets.
Yes, healthy outlets, absolutely.
So what have you been crafting recently?
So I do what's called sublimation. So sort of like how you take a tumbler and it has things on it. Uh-huh. So sublimation is when ink becomes a gas and then adheres to whatever it is that's poly-coated.
Okay.
So that's my recent thing.
Far out.
But, I don't stop there. I do a little bit of everything.
Love that. Okay, so for students who might be struggling but aren't sure where to turn, what are some steps they can take to seek support, and what resources are available to them here at HCC?
That's such an important question, because one of the things that we have been hearing is that students don't know what services are available. And so I really do appreciate this question. The first course we want to do, of course, is mental health counseling. Right? We want to let students know that we're here. So all students who are enrolled in credit or non-credit courses are able to receive individual counseling. So that's one thing. We also do skill-based workshops, right? And we're going to be increasing those in the fall. And then we do those based on the student's identified need. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to be doing our first group counseling.
Very cool.
Very first, yes. One of the things we noticed was that we needed to shift the amount of sessions that students were getting, because we were doing 8 to 10 per academic year. That's not a lot of sessions. So we shifted it to 6 sessions per semester, which gives them a little bit more. But I'd be remiss not to mention that we also do urgent walk-in. Right? Okay. We have walk-in hours. And then crisis counseling. Of course, crisis counseling is every day, all day. But then there's those other services here at HCC. So the Wellness Center provides a lot of resources and a lot of activities for students to promote well-being and wellness. Student Life also does a lot of activities that really gets to the social aspect of it, because one thing we do know is that students experience a great deal of loneliness, and that was an increase as a result of COVID. And then disability support services for those students who have a diagnosed disability or who think that they possibly have a disability. They can go there and get some services. So those, I think, one ways for students to get those supports that they need. Yeah,
and it's wonderful to know that like all these resources are available, but I understand that you run a pretty tight ship and a small team. How does your team oversee all that for all the students?
Carefully. I think what's important is the desire and drive that we have to do this work, right? And so we make room for what we need to. And right now, I'm working with me and an intern. But we're making it work, right? And we'll see as many students as we can. Unfortunately, this semester, we did have to have a wait list, but we didn't have a big wait list. So we really were able to meet the students as much as possible. But good management skills, I guess. Time management, that is.
So are there any specific programs or initiatives that you're particularly excited about right now?
Wow, there's so many things. So this fall, besides increasing our presence on campus, and we're excited to get a social media account, because that's really going to help us to promote our services. We're putting together some really engaging skill-based workshops for students. And then I think a big undertaking right now that I'm excited about is creating some in-house brochures that students can come by, even for staff as well. They can come by and just grab resources about anything. And so I think that is something that that I am excited about. And then just continue to offer students, faculty, and staff the mental health first aid training, which is something we started this year.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit, and people really enjoyed being able to have that training. So we're hoping to increase that as well.
Yeah, those are definitely a lot of great plans, and I can't wait to see them take shape. And I'm glad you brought up social media because it's such a wonderful tool, but it can also be a double-edged sword, and that it's like a source of this anxiety that people feel to like want to be accepted. Do you find that some students really face challenges with, their social media identity?
Absolutely. Like you said, they want to be accepted. So I think the identity has to do with the acceptance piece. And it's hard because you want to encourage them to be able to be social on social media.
Yeah.
But I think it comes back to that self-care component of being able to know what you can and cannot do. And I think that is one way, I think, for students to be able to navigate that road, but with support.
Yeah. I remember during COVID, I actually deleted most of my social medias, and it was almost just like a weight off my shoulders, and I've never looked back.
I think everyone should take a social media break.
Amen to that.
And whether that be for a week or, if you're on it all the time, a week might just be enough to get you to that, I really don't need to be on it every day.
Exactly.
All day.
Because these algorithms are designed to keep us addicted and engaged because that's how they're making money. So
absolutely.
Being able to see around that is very important in my mind.
Yeah.
All right. So sometimes it might be difficult for students to recognize when they need support. What are some of the signs that a student or their friends might look out for that could indicate a need for mental health assistance?
That is a great question. So we could look at this in 4 categories: behavior changes, changes in thinking or emotions, physical changes, and social cues. And I'll dive in a little bit further. So changes in behavior, right? We want to notice that, did our friends withdraw, or are we withdrawing, right? Do we not attend social events that we used to attend? Or are we doing some unusual activities when we're out? Are we skipping classes? Are they, having a sudden change in the way that they're eating and their sleeping patterns? And then substance use, that's one. Yeah. Then changes in their thinking. Feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness, that word never comes out right. Negative self-talk, saying things like, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. Excessive worry or fear. Mood swings, 1 minute they're happy, next minute they want to kill somebody. And then trouble concentrating. Then we go to the physical and social, right? Changes in their personal hygiene or appearance. Isolating. Changes in their friend groups. And that's a big one. That's a really telling sign, is when they change their friend groups.
Why do you think that is?
Because if you don't feel good about yourself and you can connect with some people that either boost you up or can keep you in that space almost in a sense of control, then it's like, okay, well, at least I fit in. They could be doing the wrong things, but they accept me, right? And so they change because they want to be accepted. And so they'll maybe navigate or gravitate toward that group that accepts them.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah. And then the final one would be feeling guilty about the smallest things. That all or nothing thinking, I'm a failure. So, I bumped my toe and I got an extreme reaction to, don't get me wrong, bumping your toe hurts, but the action doesn't match the circumstance.
Yeah. It's like a microcosm of how they're really feeling within, and the water boils over in certain circumstances. Yeah. We see it all the time. Yeah. We're all human, but I really like how you broke that down because, it's offered me some perspectives I haven't really thought of before. But when you look at it like that, through that lens, you're like, well, absolutely, these are all signs. So, yeah. And
there's definitely some red flags, though. Yeah. If I can.
Please.
So red flags would be always talking about death or dying, even if it's joking. Yeah. Self-harm, you see somebody who used to always wear short sleeves and now all of a sudden they're wearing long sleeves because they don't want you to see their arms because of cutting. Giving away belongings or being very aggressive or impulsive. Seeing or hearing things that aren't there, that they're the only ones that see it and nobody else sees. Not showing up for class consistently. Or they're just seemingly not like themselves. And those are those times when you really want to either yourself come for help or direct your friend towards the help, but be a support with them. Come with them, not just set them off on their own.
Right. Because, we all have self-worth and we need to respect that and encourage it in each other because we're only as good as the people we love and surround ourselves with.
Absolutely. So. One of the biggest things I love to say is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love that.
Yes, John C. Maxwell.
All right. So I know you mentioned this earlier, but at times some students may feel hesitant to seek help due to the stigma or fear of being judged. What would you say to a student who is experiencing these feelings and encourage them to reach out for support?
Yeah, so my first approach is always empathy. I do a simple check-in. How are you doing? And that's a simple question we ask all the time. A lot of times when people ask that question, they don't stick around and know the answer. But I think that's one of the first points. How are you doing? And those 3 simple words are impactful and they can open the door for engagement. So I'd want students to know that I care and then kind of check in with them. So self-disclosure, I think, is most important. I like to get in the trenches with them. So I while they're talking or whatever, not that I'm not listening, but I'm scanning my life. Is there something that I've been through that I might be able to share of? Now, it's not about me, so I'm not going to go into deep dive into it, but to really kind of give them that feeling of that they're not alone, right? So it's a delicate balance, right? Because again, can't give my whole life story, but it does help to take away that feeling like I'm by myself. Then I can introduce, so what would you think it would be like if you talk to somebody? Do you want to talk with me? And I think sometimes just the fact that I've asked all those other things first gives them that comfort to say, yeah, I'll talk to you. Yeah.
It's like the sense of relatability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like breaking down, because I'm sure you ask that question a lot, and people are like, oh, I'm fine. And we know they're not, right?
Right. Well, and I'll say that. I think sometimes we get afraid to say the simple things. So if somebody says, I'm fine, I'll be like, are you? Are you really fine? Because you don't look too hot to me. Now, I might not use that exact term, but, I may really just kind of point it out that you don't look okay. So I'm just here, to let you know that it's going to be okay. Again, I lead with empathy.
I can get down with that, and that's super helpful advice.
Yeah.
We all know that mental health isn't like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
I know.
Could you speak on how your office works to ensure that its resources and approaches are inclusive and responsive to the diverse mental health needs that might arise within different student populations?
Yeah, definitely. So inclusivity is vital for effective student supports. In mental health counseling, we use a 5-step approach to ensure that our services are inclusive and meet the students where they are. We are mindful of the language we use, and we avoid generalizing. We use inclusive language, and when in doubt, we ask, right? What does the student need from us? We work hard to ensure that our office environment is accessible and comfortable, and again, inclusive, right? So our area is part of the LGBTQIA plus safe zone, and so we want to make sure that every student, regardless of their walk of life, knows that they have a place at our office. We adapt counseling techniques that we use and therapy modalities to meet the students' needs and definitely the cultural needs. For example, we wouldn't put a Muslim woman with a man counselor. It's against their culture. We regularly review the data. I shouldn't say we. I regularly review the data to see where we need to make adjustments so that we can meet the students through programming or workshops to make sure we're meeting them. And then we strive to share information about available resources and support systems with students, faculty, and staff.
Admirable. That's a lot of work, a lot of food on one plate. But they got the woman for the job over here.
And a lot of crafting.
Oh, wow. This has been such an informative conversation. And Natalie, as we wrap up, what is one key message that you would like to leave our listeners with regarding student mental health?
Mental health is just that, health. So we would always go to the doctor if we're not feeling well, and so at least I hope they do. Taking care of mental health is just as important as the physical health. I guess the last bottom line is to not be afraid to reach out for support. We might be small, but we're mighty, and no such situation is too small for us. And to let them know they're not alone.
Lead with empathy, relatability.
Yes.
I can get down with that. Compelling words, and Natalie, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise. This has truly been an insightful and rewarding experience, not only for myself, but hopefully for our listeners as well. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, and I hope you continue to achieve great things. I'm wishing you and your future department all the best moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Often in these honest and open dialogues, like the one I had today with the Howard Community College Director of Mental Health, Natalie Williams, that we grasp the shared human experience of navigating our mental landscape. Whatever pressures or challenges you're facing, know that your feelings are valid and support is always available. As we move through Mental Health Awareness Month and beyond, let's commit to fostering a campus where open conversations about well-being are the norm, not the exception. Continue to check in with yourselves, check in with your friends, family, and loved ones. A little understanding and support can make a world of difference. Until next time, take care and be kind to your mind. Thank you for listening to Dragon Talk. This is Ryan Record, signing out. Thank you for listening to Dragon Podcasts. You can find this show and all Howard Community College podcasts on most streaming platforms, as well as our host platform, Podbean, at podbean.com/dragonpodcasts. That's podbean.com/dragonpodcasts. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in.